Ask the questions. Don't compare yourself to other people on your team. Don't compare offers. Trust in yourself, believe in yourself, put in the work to do it. My name's Natalie Marlowe. I'm the head women's basketball coach at St. Martin's University, Division II school. I've been there, finished my first season. From Milwaukee, Wisconsin originally, went to school in Chicago, so I've made my way kind of across the country and wound up on the West Coast, California before here, so I'm loving it so far. I think the biggest thing is never give up on yourself. I went through a knee injury my senior year of high school, so I lost out on some scholarship opportunities, but I knew I could play at the Division I level, so I still was able to get a scholarship, but just fighting through that and in going through that injury, I was sidelined, so I had to look at the game in a different perspective through a different lens. So that really taught me how to communicate better with not only my teammates, but my coaches, to really get a sense of how can I still be impactful without physically being on the floor. So that really put me in a position to want to continue, with using the game of basketball as my career and what I turned that into. So it's really just given me, again, motivation and trying to help these young women, through the adversity that they go through, whether it's on the court, off the court. I've been through a lot in my life through, family stuff, personal stuff, and navigating, all these rough waters that we see. But again, the beautiful thing about, I think, sports is you never know what's coming, and you always have to be able to respond and pivot and find out all these things that you want for yourself and never allow yourself to give up on yourself. So keep pushing. When I have kids on campus or whenever we're recruiting, I really emphasize the fit. A lot of times kids just think, all with social media and everything that's out there now, they see all the bright lights and all the cool social media posts and the gear that people get and all these facilities, but it's not the right fit for certain kids, right? Now bring NIL into the conversation. It's a very different world than it was when I was playing and, obviously 20, 30 years ago. So it really is important for kids to find the right fit academically. Coach is important, but I think too, the players and the environment within the campus community is really important, because kids are going to spend 90% of their time with their teammates. So you hope that they like them, that they click. And also too, outside of campus, do they fit in the environment? Is it comfortable, whether it's, religion, if it's somewhere on the beach, in the mountains, on the coast, something like that, to where if they don't have basketball on their off days, are they going to be happy, or are they gonna, just sit in their room and be depressed type of thing? So those are the things that we really try to encourage all the kids that we recruit. Think about what makes you tick, what makes you happy outside of just being a basketball player, because the ball stops bouncing at some point in your life. So what is going to help propel you into your future? Because that's something, again, the level I coach at, there's not a whole lot of professional athletes that come out of it. And even at the levels that are higher, not everyone's going to be a pro. There's not that many opportunities for that. So really trying to encourage them to ask tough questions, go on as many visits as they can go on. Because again, I think when you are immersed in the environment, your body is going to tell you, you're going to have that natural response of, yeah, like this feels right, this feels good, or it's not going to work for me, it doesn't fit, because it doesn't fit for everybody at every campus. So really finding what fits for them, but asking the right type of questions. And I always encourage our players, ask the hard questions. Go on campus. When you are able to go on a visit, I try to encourage players, ask me the same question that you ask my assistant coach when we're in different rooms. And so I really encourage players to do that on every visit. Ask the same questions to each coach or members of the staff or even the players, and see what responses that you get, so that you know whether something's been, one, rehearsed, or two, just kind of you're getting different answers and it's not consistent. I think the biggest thing is academically, right? If you want to be a nurse, or if you want to go into a engineering major and that school doesn't have it, don't go to that school, because then there's 4 more years extra afterwards that you shouldn't have to go for. There's obviously certain degrees that you're going to need extra schooling for, but there's also a way around it. So again, really, for me, the first question that I talk to players about is the academic side. If you don't know what you want to study, that's great, because every school is going to offer those core classes, and especially with our school specifically, it's like a liberal arts college, so you get a good feel for where you can land. But yeah, the academic side is crucial to start, because you don't want to just go to a school, because I have heard horror stories from kids who have followed the Division I scholarship, and then they leave without a degree because they were just put in classes that fit so that they would pass to be eligible. So that's the biggest thing is academics. Second thing I think is coaching style or style of play within that basketball program. Certain kids aren't going to fit in every program. Some teams press full court, all game, all they do is run and jump. Certain kids don't fit in that core thing. And it's not saying you can't go play in a different style, but a lot of times for us as coaches, we like to evaluate the players who are in a similar system, because then one, you're not having to teach as much, and they're already a step ahead of where you need them to be, because the pace is so much faster at the college level. You need kids to catch on a lot quicker. So we do a good job, I do, at least, of trying to evaluate kids that would already fit in our program. So I think that's a really important thing for kids to understand and ask before they just jump into it. I think the third thing too is really when you're in that environment on campus, do you want a big campus? Do you want a small campus? What do you want for your college experience? And then I think kind of that fourth thing is location. We try to recruit, as a private school, you can tend to get more kids from across the country, especially Division I schools. And then there's that international piece about it. Is there an airport close so that family and friends can come visit? Or are you just kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere, and you're stuck in the middle of nowhere because it's really hard to get to an airport because it's such a small town and it's far away. So a lot of components that go into it, and certain kids are homebodies. They don't like to really, go too far out of their comfort zone. So those are all things that we really do like to encourage them to consider before being like, yeah, just because the scholarship money's right, I want to go there. Make sure your grades are right? Again, first and foremost, academics are the most important thing. If you don't have the right GPA, you're not going to be able to get accepted and get into those schools. If the schools are, a Stanford, a school that has these really significant acceptance rates, like you have to be in a certain level, know that right away and be realistic with yourself. Like, I can either get there or I can't. And then you have to adjust your plan, right? Go to plan B, see what other schools are similar, but don't really hit that top notch of what you may have thought you could have gotten into. And then also, I think the work ethic part is, from a basketball specific standpoint, you have to be willing to put in the work outside of those hour and a half, 2 hour time blocks every day with your team. It really does take time spent outside. It's not 4 hours a day. Obviously, the more you practice, obviously the better you're going to get, but you have to be willing to commit extra time to that craft. I don't know if a lot of coaches tend to agree with me, but I really like multi-sport athletes. I think that really shows me that they can handle a lot. And, obviously we love for them to be training as basketball players. But at the end of the day, for all the injuries and all the playing that's happening within specified sports over the summer through AAU ball, when you're a multi-sport athlete, your body's moving in a little different way. So you're a little more prepared, and injury prevention is a little bit higher when you're talking about multi-sport athletes moving differently. So I like that, and also I think it opens their mind to being creative and thinking a little outside the box. Maybe I can use this one move that I did, diving on the floor in a volleyball game and to save a basketball from going out of bounds, that type of thing. So I was a multi-sport athlete, and I think that really did open my mind to just ideas and thinking and being able to communicate and see things in a little bit different way than just strictly basketball. So yeah, really encouraging people, again, just if you love it, you have to be able to, take sacrifices, and, instead of going out with your friends to a movie one night, you're like, I have to get these reps up in the gym because I had a test earlier in the week that I couldn't get my regular reps in. So finding your time, because when you're not working, other people are. That's something we always really harp on our own players with that, but it is important to make sure they are committed to their craft and getting better and improving. Not everyone's gonna make these drastic jumps, but when you get to that next level, what is going to set you apart from being a good player and a great player who's probably a starter is the hours that are put in, and really that work ethic and determination that nothing's going to stop you from being the best version of yourself. It's obviously it's going to be tough and heartbreaking for everyone. I think a lot of times if you don't have necessarily the God-given talent to do it, but you love the game that much, find a way to be in it. Like some of the best male coaches and even women's coaches, like Buzz Williams, who is the head coach at Texas A&M, he never played in college. There's a few others who, big well-known names that have never really played in college. So find a way to get involved. Be a student manager, be a student assistant. On our staff, I have a student manager who's been with the team and does the same training every single day with our team. But she's not on a scholarship, and she just shows up and hands out towels and water, but she's part of it, and she just wants to be a part of that community. So again, even if you're not getting the minutes, if you're okay with just being a part of it and still being able to learn and grow through that, I think that's crucial. Now, if you're not the manager type, or you're like, I want to play or do nothing, maybe try another sport, or when you're on campus, try to see if there's intramurals and get involved that way. But when you're trying to really pin down, I just don't think they have it. If they're not getting phone calls or contacts by the start of their senior year, if they've been playing through AAU and obviously throughout high school, that's probably a good signifier that you shouldn't really continue to pursue basketball or any sport at the next level. But also, if you're not getting contacted, that doesn't mean that people may not be interested in you. Send out emails to coaches, send some highlight film, and then not every coach, because not every coach needs their inbox blown up, but do your research, again, with schools that might fit for your academics. Be like, hey, I'm interested in your school. Can you take a look and see if I could maybe have a spot on your team? A lot of Division III teams have, they recruit for enrollment just as much as they do for, competition within their team. So there's going to be a lot more opportunity at the Division III level because they are recruiting for enrollment, because schools are usually smaller. So that can be a really good starting point for some players who may not have been reached out to, but they can really reach out on their own. But yeah, otherwise, being realistic is really, really crucial, I think, for players, but also for parents to not continue to shell out thousands of dollars a year and maybe find something else that your kid might be good at. But if by going into your senior year, nothing has really come to your front door, it might be time to start considering something else. So I've been fortunate. Again, I'm from Milwaukee. I went to school in Chicago. I've coached in every NCAA level, so D3, D2, and D1. And most recently, before getting hired at St. Martin's, I was at a junior college. So I've got a wealth of knowledge for obviously where players can fit and where they can be successful. But at the same time, going through all those divisions, I played Division I, I coached at every level. So really being able to understand where players are going to, again, find that right fit academically. But we talked a little bit earlier about just what it takes to compete at those levels, because they're all different. Being at a junior college, a lot of times you've got to have a crazy work ethic to make sure you're putting yourself in a position to get recruited, because you either didn't or your grades weren't good enough, right? Or you just grew up in a place that didn't get recruited a whole lot, and now your name's finally going to be on the map. So those sacrifices and those extra hours really at that junior college level are crucial. And then I think too, at that junior college level, is you've got to ask your coach, what connections do you have? How hard are you going to work to get my name out there and, kind of recruit me to other schools. So that's a junior college thing, is really important. But for Division III, Division II, and Division I, I've always explained it as Division III is a part-time job. You've got summers off, mandatory workouts only start October 15th in season, and then they end as soon as the season's over. So you've got, voluntary workouts that go on the first part of the school year, and then afterwards you don't have any workouts. Again, there's voluntary stuff that you can do, but you've got the summers off, and again, it's a part-time job. You're only working when the season is officially in. Division II is a full-time job, but you've got really good benefits. Like you have a mandatory week off over Christmas break, and then a mandatory week off after your season ends. You start 4 days after school begins with 8 hours a week up until the beginning of your season, official season in October. And then you have summers off as well. So again, you're going to be super busy throughout every week. We're maxed out at 20 hours a week for our regular season with what we can ask of them to do. But it's, again, you're getting the competition level, and then the other side of the Division II aspect is the scholarship part, right? Division III doesn't have any athletic scholarships. Division II we can do partial scholarships. Pretty much every player on our team is on a full ride because we have a really good scholarship situation, and that varies from institution to institution. But we can pair academic money with scholarship or athletic scholarship money. So every kid that comes to St. Martin's gets a merit scholarship. So basically, depending on where their GPA is, that's how much merit money they get, and that carries over every single year. So for us, from a scholarship standpoint, we're in a really good position because a lot of our kids, if we recruit high academic kids, we're basically getting one kid for half price, which saves on our scholarship. So depending on how you strategize that, obviously that's helpful for the scholarship part. And then Division I, it's a full-time job with bad benefits. Like, you don't get a lot of vacation time. You're still working in the summer, not the entire summer, but a good majority of it. Foreign trips, you're training, you have at least 4 hours a day of basketball. And then if you're playing at that level, you need to put in extra work on your own every day to make sure that you're not falling behind. And if you're not getting minutes, you're trying to get those minutes, right? So it's just that competitive level. But from the start of school year, obviously all the way throughout, it's great because scholarship-wise, every Division I basketball player is on a full scholarship. But there's a toll that comes with it, right? And so I think that's where a lot of kids, they see all the glitz and glam, social media stuff, NIL money. Not every kid's getting NIL money. There's a lot of stuff that goes on now, but I don't think kids are really understanding what goes into that. So yeah, that's kind of how I've described it for kids to understand like what it actually takes commitment-wise to be a part of a Division III, Division II, or Division I program, because it is a lot. Like I said, that full-time job, it's not for everyone. Kids want to have a college experience. That's why I've really come to like the Division II atmosphere, because NCAA's motto for Division II is life in the balance, and you really do get a good sense of balance being a Division II player, while also probably not paying for scholarships if you're at the right school. So you can save a bunch of money. That's what kids have to ask themselves. Do I want to maybe play more minutes, have an opportunity to be an All-American as a Division II player, or go play Division I, maybe collect a $10,000 extra check and sit on the bench? So things to consider when they're going through it. But the last part, like I kind of mentioned earlier, is just ask questions. Ask as many questions as you can. Ask the hard questions. Don't be scared to ask coaches tough questions. And then when you find out where you want to go in the recruiting process, we hear no all the time. We're used to it. Just tell us, like, hey, I appreciate your time and having us. It's just not the right fit for me, because it's not, St. Martin's is not going to be the right fit for everybody, and everyone's not going to be the right fit for us. So that's the biggest thing that I tell kids. Ask the questions. Don't compare yourself to other people on your team. Don't compare offers. Trust in yourself, believe in yourself, put in the work to do it.